Welcome everyone to the Sports Roll podcast. I have Matt Dingler with me at the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and we are going to be discussing the 12K Tuesday MLB bunt single entry for the FanDuel GPP that we're going to submit a roster to. So, Matt, we have a pretty decent slate tonight for the 7 p.m. main slate. What do you like at pitcher?
There's a few guys I really like. I like at the high dollar tier. I prefer Fernandez over Arrieta pretty handily because of his strikeout upside. He's got a 13.4 K9 this year, which is virtually unheard of for a starting pitcher. He's playing the Pirates, which is not a good thing, but with him, he's not a safe option, but he provides the strikeout upside that could lead to a 75 point game easily. And I think he's a good option for tournaments. Another guy I do like Steven Matz. I think the White Sox have been struggling. They don't hit left-handed pitching very well. And he's another good, not safe option who seems like he's in line to pick up another win. And my favorite cheap option would probably be Aaron Nola. I really like him. He's also pretty cheap for the quality he brings. He keeps the runs down. He's got really, really good advanced measurables. Plus, he averages more than a K per 9 innings. And Washington is not a dangerous offense despite their good record, especially against right-handed pitching. Plus, now Bryce Harper got beamed in the knee last night, so he probably won't be playing. And I think he's a really solid option. Do you have any other pitchers you like to target today?
Yeah, so I guess talk about like process of elimination for me. Arrieta is a little bit too high in cost. Also, the weather here, as you can see, is a little bit of a concern. The game might not start even, or if it does start, he might get taken out a little bit early. And in rain delays, that tends to happen where the pitcher doesn't fulfill his potential for the night because he got taken out after 4 or 5 innings because of a rain delay. So Arrieta is a little bit doubtful. The high price and just the Dodger offense doesn't really convince me of Arrieta tonight. Fernandez and Cole, they're both top prime pitchers, and so they might cancel each other out. If there was an option, I would say Fernandez is the best option on the slate tonight. If you're doing a cash game, I would definitely go with Fernandez because of the strikeout upside. And the last 6 times that Jose Fernandez has taken the mound for the Marlins, the team has won and he's gotten a victory. So that's 12 extra points in addition to the strikeouts. Don't know if that's going to happen with the Pirates today, though, to be honest, because there is a guy like Garrett Cole on the mound. So the Marlin offense has to counteract against Cole, who might. My usual slogan in daily fantasy life is don't screw around with Garrett Cole because you end up getting burned pretty badly. So I would basically say stay away from Fernandez and Cole, but if there's a safe option on the night, it would be Jose Fernandez because of the strikeout upside. Drew Smiley here for Kansas or for Tampa Bay going up against Kansas City. He has a good strikeout rate, but he does allow a few walks. He does allow contact as well, and the Kansas City Royals have a team built around contact and a little bit of power here and there. So they could easily put up 6 runs all of a sudden, and he's 2-6 on the season. The Rays offense doesn't click half the time, and then half the time it does. So he's a super risky pick at 9,100. If you're gonna get a lefty like him, I would much rather get a righty like Aaron Nola at 8,900. And just I know the Phillies are a weaker team if the Nationals are at full health and the Phillies are at full health, but as you just said, the Nationals are not at full health because their main guy Bryce Harper is gonna sit out, and so really the only hazard that Nola will have to get through 3 times or 4 times tonight is going to be Daniel Murphy, the power hitting, contact hitting, everything hitting Daniel Murphy, the lefty in the lineup. So I think against Ross for the Nationals, this is kind of like the Fernandez Cole thing where both guys could cancel each other out, but I think Nola has the potential, especially with Harper out, that's one less lefty he has to face. So I definitely agree with that. Do you want me to just go ahead and add him if you don't have any other qualms about picking him?
I think that's a good idea, especially because of all the good hitters today. Today's a pretty nice hitting day.
Yeah, so we want to save up money at pitcher so we can get all those nice hitters. Do you want to start with catcher or move on to the outfield and work back?
We start with catcher, but again, as I say pretty much every day, not a great position.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you have anyone? No one jumped out at me as a must play. Do you have anyone that you
No,
like
same.
today?
Yeah, no, same thing. I was gonna say Salvador Perez against Smiley. He, righty lefty. It could work out, but the rain delay and he has a little bit injury issues as well. Weeders against Rodriguez. I wanted to roster him, but before the podcast, he just told me that Eduardo Rodriguez for the Red Sox is a halfway decent pitcher, and I shouldn't just stack Baltimore against him. So I will stay away from Weeders because of that. Wilson Ramos, I would have rostered him, but against Nola, there's no chance, especially because Nola's our pitcher of the day. Lucroy going up against St. Louis is a bad option because I don't want to roster Milwaukee. I want to roster St. Louis in this game, so there's no point in paying up 3,600 to get a guy on a stack that I don't want to have in the future. So, do you think this is a good time to start making the St. Louis stack if we're about to? Because Yadier Molina is in a little bit of a decline. He actually had a 330 average like only 2 weeks ago, and now he has a 277 average. And I don't know the BABIP number on him if he's getting lucky or massively unlucky with this average recently, but he has really, really struggled in the past. Like tons of 1 for 4, 0 for 4 nights just in a string of rows here. Against Peralta, though, this could be a good night for him. So, do you want to start the St. Louis stack here with Molina, or is there a better option?
He was one of two options that I like to catcher even slightly today. I like him and I like Russell Martin.
Yeah.
And I think I would prefer Molina actually because Peralta, craziest stat I've heard in a while. He has allowed, along with his seven-ish ERA, he's allowed a 368 batting average against by all hitters.
Whoa.
Which is unbelievable. So if we can take advantage of the cheap price on Molina, plus he's a good contact hitter with a little bit of power that you may look for, I think it's the time to start the St. Louis stack.
So let's roster Molina, and obviously we both just said that there aren't that many good options at catcher, so if one of you guys do find that option, good for you because we certainly don't see it in this mess. But moving on to first base, is there any name that immediately sticks out to you?
Yes, like 6 of them. Why can't first base be spread out throughout the other positions? But a few, I guess there's a few that I want to mention first. David Ortiz, phenomenal GPP play today. He's expensive, so that's going to put people off of him. But just look at his recent game log for one.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
He's been as consistent and with as much power as you can imagine. He's playing in a hitter's park. I think he's facing Gausman, who is a league average pitcher at best, and he would be a nice one, contrarian play due to his extremely inflated price. A few others I like before I get to the one that I really like. I really like Matt Adams today as another guy who could go off. He typically hits 4th against righty pitching, and Willie Peralta is just terrible, so he could be another good option for St. Louis. Byung Ho Park is another one I like. He's very cheap. He's facing a lefty in Eric Surkamp, who is, I don't think, made it out of the 3rd inning in about 5 starts for the A's. Freddie Freeman's another cheap guy I like. I'm just kind of rattling off the ones that I like. Freddie Freeman's cheap. He always has the potential to hit 1 or 2 home runs. And this is a good time to target him against Jake Peavy, who is just gets killed by lefties.
Yeah.
These are not my favorite plays. My favorite play is Joey Votto. I think Votto in Coors. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, in Coors Field, it's hard to pass up a $3,800 Joey Votto, who seems to be hitting his stride a little bit. He hit a home run last night. So, in my opinion, he's the best option.
Yeah. I've always said this, and it's not even just me saying it, but like hitters that are in slumps, and Votto is in a massive slump right now compared to what he could be, and hitters just go to Colorado and come out better hitters just because they had great outings for like 3 or 4 games in Colorado. And I think Joey Votto is one of those guys that his price actually was at 3,300 like in the Milwaukee series, and I rostered him on the 2 nights that he had 18 points, and then he goes to Colorado, and usually you see a greater spike than just 33 to 3,800, but for some reason they've only added 500 more to his price, and I think this is the night that you pull the trigger on Votto. But Is there anything in your mind that really is telling you to play Boston at Baltimore because the weather is better? Big Poppy against the righty is usually a good option. Poppy is the hotter hitter of the two, if we believe in those things. Also, the weather is nicer in Baltimore. The game is not going to get delayed or canceled, whereas in Colorado it may or may not. Is there any doubt in your mind of not spending 1,000 more to get to him, to
No,
get to Big Poppy? Okay.
I don't. I think his price is inflated. I mean, as much as I love him as a Red Sox fan, his
Yeah.
BABIP is a little high.
Uh huh.
He's seeing the ball, hitting the ball well, but that's a lot to pay for one single player who's not a pitcher. And I think if we come back, love our lineup,
Hmm.
have $1,000 extra to spend, fine.
Yeah.
But I don't think anything's wrong with taking Joey Votto, who is pretty much, by all accounts, a similar career hitter
Hmm.
for $1,000 less in a better hitter's park.
Yeah.
Assuming the game doesn't get canceled or anything,
Yeah. So
I
the
don't think there's anything wrong.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong either. Like the weird thing with FanDuel is because they added the little rainy weather logo, it accounts for any game that has a little bit of rain chances, right? So they immediately attach that logo. But with the Colorado Cincinnati game here in the right hand corner, there is a light to moderate chance of rain, and it's at 50% throughout the night. So there is the off chance that Watto could not play, and that's the only reason I was suggesting that maybe Big Poppy is the better option on the night that Baltimore is going to have clear weather.
If you want to get away from Votto,
Hmm.
the best option in that price range is Encarnacion against
Yeah,
Sabathia.
which is
That
I
would be
think
someone you could switch to right before lock if the game is
hmm
going to be canceled, if you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Or you just don't. I mean, if you personally don't feel comfortable with Votto immediately,
hmm
if we want to pop him in instead, I would be okay with that as well.
Yeah, I love Watto. I can't believe I'm not picking him, especially because every time I write an article, I immediately slot the guy into my lineup that night and they fail. So I think this is one of those nights as well. So let's stay away from Mr. Watto for today and maybe attack him tomorrow on a better day. But with second base, one of the names that was really kind of standing out to me is Daniel Murphy against Aaron Nola, but that isn't going to happen. More so, not because I don't want to roster him, but he's going up against our pitcher is the main reason I'm not picking him. Murphy, because Bryce is going to be out, he's going to have lesser men on base for him to clear. Like Bryce Harper has a really high on base percentage this year, so he's there's runs to bring in, there's home runs to hit, and all that stuff. But like, I think Murphy's going to be pretty reined in tonight. So other options like DJ LeMahieu has been pretty good, and in Colorado, I think he could be decent against Cincinnati. But LeMahieu always hits for contact and rarely for power. He's one of those 300 batting average kind of guys, but without much of the power that you would want out of him. So I thought the better option was actually Brandon Phillips against John Gray if that game does go to plan, because Gray, even though it's a righty-righty matchup, Brandon has the home run potential, and it's been a while since he's hit a home run. Like in the last 10, he certainly hasn't. And I think the last time I rostered him, or you rostered him, he did hit a home run. But that was like games and games ago. So I think he's due for one. Yesterday, he got the night started off with a hit and an RBI, and I think he'll only build off from that base here tonight. But aside from Phillips at 3,100, is there anyone else that you have in mind?
There is my favorite. I like Phillips as well, but if we're avoiding Coors
You're right,
because
yeah.
of the rain, my favorite option is Dozier.
Hmm.
He's facing just a terrible lefty. Surkamp is so bad. If you want to go to his game logs,
Yeah.
you'll see. But Dozier leads off against lefties. He's essentially a lefty masher for his career. He's had a bit of a down year, but like look at the innings pitched.
Yeah,
That's
2.2,
verging on
4.2.
And he's not good.
Yeah.
And plus Dozier will lead off. He won't get subbed if the righty pitcher goes in instead, and he gets on base. He's finally finding his streak. He hit 180 for a lot of the year.
Hmm.
He's kind of figuring it out. So he's easily my favorite option on the day.
Okay.
Another guy that I like a little bit if not a lot, is Devin Travis. He's finally starting to figure it out for the Blue Jays. He hits lefties well, and there's been talk this week that one day this week he will take over the leadoff role from Batista.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's tonight for 2,200, it's an extremely appealing option.
Yeah. Well, so what was
Not
your...
him.
Oh, not this guy? Which
Devin
one?
Travis.
Oh, Devin Travis. I thought you said Ronald Torres.
No.
I was like, where's the Batista guy that he's trying to take the lead off from? But yeah, I do like Devin Travis. I think he didn't play last night, but against the Yankees he didn't play last night. But one of the guys that did, Ryan Goins, it was a funny scene. He hit a home run yesterday.
Yeah,
and it was odd because he shouldn't have.
he
But
doesn't hit home runs.
right, and he had a huge night, but like you can see, it was preceded by lots of zeros and threes. So he goes up to like Troy Tulowitzki, who was out yesterday, and he goes up and he starts to like rag on him, saying like, "Hey, watch out! I'm gonna take your spot on the roster." And I'm pretty sure Tulo's pissed off about that because he laughed it up. But I'm pretty sure he's a competitor and he's a multi-time All-Star with Colorado. So
Yeah.
I think tonight's the night we actually go for Troy Tulowitzki if at all possible against Sabathia.
Unfortunately, he's on the DL as of last night. He got put on the DL.
Oh, so that
But
sucks.
he was. I researched him. He was my favorite shortstop until that happened. But
Yeah. So, what doubts do you have about Travis? Does he start tonight? Is that a certainty?
against the lefty, he should.
Okay.
Goins had the platoon advantage. That's why he started last night.
Mm-hmm.
I
So-
wouldn't play him.
Don't play.
I would no.
Wait. So why
Uh,
were you bringing him up?
I wouldn't play him instead of Dozier.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if he leads off, he's my favorite option. But he probably won't lead off.
Oh, okay. So when he does play, there's no guarantee that he leads off. Is
No,
what you're
no,
saying?
no. He's
Okay.
been hitting 6th or 7th.
Okay.
But if he leads off, they said at some point this week he will be moved to the leadoff spot. If that's today,
We go
then
back
play.
and change it. Okay.
Dozier's
So
the best second baseman at this point.
yeah, and him against Surkamp, like we just looked at the stats. Like Dozier is part of. Batting average could be improved, but the power
It's
is
gone
going to
up
be
though.
there.
It's way up from what it was.
Yeah, and evidenced by the last 5 games as well.
Yeah.
So if he hits a home run, we'll be happy. He can go 1 for 7 as long as I care. If he hits a home run, that's much more than what we could have hoped for. Moving to third base, I don't like the top options like Bryant and Arenado. Maybe Arenado actually against Moscott, who may have trouble. I forget how well or did not do too well, but like in Boston, in a hitter-friendly park, he had a terrible time of it. He had 6 points and 3 points, and then zeros otherwise in Boston and Pittsburgh as well. It's been a while since he has had a good night. So do you think tonight's the night that Arenado finally has a big night?
I do. Moscott's not a good pitcher. Arenado is actually way better against righties than lefties.
Mm-hmm.
He has the reverse splits. And again, I guess if we're ignoring cores, we can't play him.
So I think
But
one of the things is like I want cores for like 1 or 2 of the guys, but not to stack either
Okay.
team at cores. Yeah, so we can have like Votto and Arenado. I don't really, mind that, but I don't want to have like a stack of Cincinnati or Colorado at
Sure.
cores.
I love Arenado. I think he's the best. He's clearly the top third base option today,
Mhm.
being in cores. A close second is Donaldson. And
Really?
then
A close second for me was Carpenter. Actually.
I was gonna
Okay.
say close second is tied between Donaldson and Carpenter.
Yeah.
Carpenter is the guy I'll be playing
Okay.
just because of his price.
Yeah, so if we're concerned about the weather, then I think Carpenter is the better option, especially just $900 cheaper really helps out as well. How often do you think Arenado is going to have this night? Because I feel like this is a 3-game series in Cincinnati. There's worse pitchers on Cincinnati starting lineup than Moscott, actually. Like, Finnegan is a lefty that we can target against him. I mean, reverse splits, so it might not be helpful. But I think tonight's maybe the night that Arenado doesn't go off, especially because of the persistent rain delays that they're going to have. So do you mind if I take Carpenter instead?
No, I'll be playing Carpenter.
Okay, because
Finnegan plays tomorrow, by the way.
right, and also
They-
we
they
are
won't
trying
be in
to,
Colorado, but
yeah, I mean, and we are trying to build a St. Louis stack. I think the last time we started the podcast at catcher, I think that's what we said. So
Yeah.
Carpenter helps that process out. At shortstop, do you want to continue the Carpenter stack or St. Louis stack and do Aledmys Diaz?
He, I don't like shortstop. He's the best, probably one of the best options, if not the best option for his price. Yeah, yes.
Okay, that's decided then. But
I'll name a couple others
right,
that I
yeah.
like just in case.
I
Trevor
think,
Story is overpriced, but
yeah.
I wouldn't talk you out of it. Against Moscot, he's just such a bad pitcher. Cozart is also overpriced, but again, wouldn't talk you out of it. He had a home run last night.
Yeah.
Eduardo Nunez is a good play. He should be leading off, I would think, against Surkamp. If not, Dozier should lead off. He'll probably hit second.
Yeah.
And that's a good option as well. None of them I really like. I like Aledmys Diaz. He's got the power. He's got the ability to hit for contact. He has one of the higher OPSs. He's above 900. It's a good option for a cheap option in shortstop and a bad shortstop slate.
Yeah, and it helps the St. Louis stack. So moving into the outfield, do you want to keep the St. Louis stack going and add a fourth, or just be happy with 3 and focus on other teams and players?
Personally, I'm happy with 3.
Okay.
I don't see any. There were no other ones that Piscotty's probably not going to play, and he was the one that I would have picked. So he's got food poisoning, but the guy you just clicked on is one of my favorite.
Hey, we see eye to eye in the outfield.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a great option. I mean, his price has risen so much though. I mean, to his credit, he's had a great outing as well, like just 30, 40 point nights too, but multiple home run nights. Lots of power recently. I think if Votto doesn't go off, this is the guy that's like next in line to go off. If Phillips is probably third in line, and then Jay Bruce is what I would say. So if we're not getting Votto, I would be much happy with Adam Duvall at 3,900. But before we go up and spend 39 on Duvall, is there any better option at the top end? Because we have 3,400 remaining per player, so we have the ability to get a Trout and a Duvall, but then have to go really low for the third guy.
My 2 favorite high end, my favorite play on the day is Carlos Gonzalez. He's only 3,900, same as Duvall, but he's facing a righty and he kills righties. He's finally showing somewhat that he's figured it out.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a crazy game log.
He definitely figured it out.
I don't see how you don't play Gonzalez today.
Yeah, and the batting average is back to 304. Yeah, I remember not too long ago it was at like 277 or 275. So props to Cargo for figuring it out, and I don't feel at all hesitant about rostering him, especially as part of like 1 or 2 Colorado players that we wanted. But Duvall, are you set on him? Because I feel like there's other options. Why am I saying there's other options? If like Cespedes against the White Sox. What are the other
options?
Yeah, so like at Latos, I don't really like here, but 15 home runs, like Cespedes has like the cartoonish power, the way like Kyle Schwarber does. So I think he can hit it out of any park. And Latos is not striking people out, and he's getting a ton of contact, and a ton of walks. So Cespedes against Latos might be a good option at 3,800. That's probably the cheapest he's gonna be all year, I would say.
For someone like that.
Yeah, and I think the Mets are hitting at full power as well, so he bats third in the lineup if that's the case. David Wright has some neck issues, I think, so Cespedes' spot may move around to fourth or third depending on what happens, but he's the guy that I was looking at. I mean, there's other options as well, like Christian Yelich, Chris Davis. I'm just like looking at names now, but
Cole Calhoun is a good one.
Yeah, Cole Calhoun against.
He's leading off. Anibal Sanchez is not a good pitcher.
Yeah, so any lefties on Anaheim or Los Angeles, if you can roster them, that would be good too. But
so what are we gonna do with our last 2 spots?
So I like Duvall, but I was just basically saying, are there like Adam Jones, Holiday? Like, is there any other option that we should be targeting in an offense that goes off, basically? Because I don't know if the Reds' offense is going to go off. There's going to be 1 or 2 guys that hit a home run or 2, but I don't know if the offense is going to put up like 8 runs or something.
Yeah.
Whereas Colorado's offense could do that.
It will. They will put up
Hmm.
runs.
So that's the only reason why I'm hesitant about rostering Duvall. I think he's been on a hot streak recently too, so that could start to cool off tonight, or there might be a game of lots of disruptions along the way, and he could, go up 0 for 1 and then rain delay, and then 0 for 2 rain delay, and he just doesn't get into the swing of things. So
Sure.
at 3,900, I'm a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger on him when there's a guy like Cespedes going up against Latos at Met Stadium.
I don't love any of the cheap options tonight.
Yeah, so it's better if we stay at the top end of it.
I just don't know how we're going to play a top and then a cheap because I don't love anyone that's cheap.
Right, so if we do Cespedes, then we still have 2,500 remaining, and I think I did see a player at the bottom that was around 2,500. I might be blanking on in terms of what the actual cost was, though, and we may have to shift around a few guys to make up for it. But let me find him. How do you feel about Ichiro? Just not to play him, but just in terms of his like renaissance
I
I
love
look
him,
up.
and I love that he's doing this. And most of all, I love the people with the shirts that have hits till 3,000, and then the like number, and then they erase it, and then they write the new number whenever he gets another hit.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
my favorite thing in the world.
But one of the things is like I think with the past few hits he's gotten, if you combine his Japanese career hits and MLB hits, he has more than Pete Rose does now.
Really.
Yeah. So
Wow.
and he hasn't gotten to 3,000 in MLB yet either.
Yeah.
So once he gets there, he's definitely going to be the best hitter in terms of hits.
Sure.
So the guy I actually found him, Merrifield for Kansas City is somebody that I watched the game yesterday and he looked pretty good. I believe he's a rookie, so I don't think he's a great option against Smiley because high strikeouts. But he does hit for contact but he doesn't walk. So it's more of like a toss up. Like if that game goes on according to plan, I think he could do a really good job. He tends to hit for contact though, but there are instances because Kansas City plays small ball. There's a lot of instances where he hits a double or a single and drives in 2 or 3 guys at the same time, and so there's that kind of potential. And as you can see from the stats, he hasn't. I mean, I think he's played every game, but yeah, like the last 6 or 7 games, he's done really well. I feel like that trend against Smiley should only continue. So, do you want to think about rostering Merrifield?
I'll say this: in the 10 games he's played, I know almost nothing about him.
Mm-hmm.
I know he bats second for the Royals. I know he's a right-handed hitter.
Right.
But that's essentially it. I wouldn't hate the pick. It wouldn't work with the roster spots we have left as far as price. But
Right, so the price wouldn't work, but we would get Cespedes out of there and
Okay.
put somebody else in, is what I'm saying. Because I'm set on Carlos Gonzalez. I don't want to take him out either. So it would be better if we didn't have Cespedes.
So yeah, I wouldn't hate that.
Okay.
Smiley's been giving up some runs.
Mm-hmm. So 38 or 3,700 and below is basically where we would have to be now. Saunders is a lefty, right? He's only a lefty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no good against Sabathia.
No.
Beltran against
Cole Calhoun,
Cole Calhoun, yeah.
he's
Let's-
one option. I wish Stanton was back. I'm ready for him to be back.
Yeah.
Play. I wouldn't play him today against Cole, but I want to start playing him because it's becoming annoying that he's on the not appearing list.
Is he on the not appearing list or the DL? Like, is he formally?
He's not on the DL. He's just not appearing in games. He's day to day.
Has he been benched? Like, is this Don Mattingly's way
No,
of
no,
benching
no.
him?
He had an MRI on his knee. No, his side, I think.
Okay.
And
Like a oblique
there's no
or something.
structural damage, but he's still hurt apparently.
Yeah. So this looks good to me. And
You plugged in Calhoun? Okay.
Yeah. I
That
plugged
would
in Calhoun, and he should have a good night against Anibal Sanchez. Sanchez is like the one time I rostered him, he did good. The second time I rostered him, he did really horrendously against the Indians. I think this time around it's gonna be much of the same. Somehow yesterday the Angels got a win against Verlander, and if they can do that, they can probably get a win against Anibal Sanchez, even though that game is probably going to be a little bit closer. Because Sanchez
They're
has
also-
like...
Or go ahead.
No, go
Sorry.
ahead.
I said they're projecting for a lot of runs for
Yeah,
them
yeah.
today. So it's,
Yeah, and that could be on the Tigers end though too. But if you're looking at ESPN, it's like 9 over under, but that could be 9 runs for the Tigers and not for the Angels. But
the Angels are favored though.
okay, so then that might be just they could have a good night then. So yeah, I don't mind Mr. Calhoun. I think he could do too well. Are you at all doubtful of any of the other choices? I know we rostered two guys that are in weather kind of situations. Merrifield, I think, should be fine. Carlos Gonzalez should be in a bit of a rain delay, I think, as the game goes on. Are you cool with it?
For now, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we'll
I
change
just
this, will we?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But
Uh,
again, we've given enough other options that if you don't feel comfortable with the weather,
yeah. I mean, so
then
basically, it's like Edwin Encarnacion is 3,800. We have zero salary remaining, so we have to swap them out for positions, or basically the same salary level or lower. And it's basically going to be if it's not Encarnacion and the Colorado game looks like it's going to go the whole way, we're going to switch him out for Votto at 7 p.m. If Gonzalez is in a rain delay, we'll switch him out for somebody that's around his price
Cespedes.
range. Yeah, Cespedes is at 3,800, I believe, so we can switch those two guys out. And Cespedes is definitely going to have better weather than rain. Also, did you look at JD Martinez for the or not the Dodgers, but the Tigers?
I didn't. Who's pitching for the Angels?
It's Hector Santiago. That might be a
It's
good
not
choice
a bad
actually
option.
at 3,900. Angel Stadium is built like a fortress though, so you have to work hard to get the ball out of there. But Martinez has that power where he can do that. So if
Yeah,
Carlos Gonzalez, if there is a rain delay, I don't at all feel bad about picking JD Martinez instead.
I like that.
Okay. So then, really, the only guy that the listeners, really have to be concerned about is Whit Merrifield, who might have a rookie kind of night where he goes 0 for 4 and nothing as well. So, that's the riskiest pick of our kind of slate here. But any other extra thoughts, Matt?
I guess if you don't like Whit Merrifield because of the weather, you could switch him out for Aaron Hicks. Again, not a good option, but he's someone down there that's facing a pretty poor pitcher
Yeah.
and should hit right around the fifth or sixth in their lineup.
Yeah.
He's 2,300.
I think FanDuel really needs to get into like the defensive assist because Hicks has a lot of that potential. He has more defensive assist potential than home run potential. So
Seriously.
there needs to be like 6 points for each assist. But for the moment, I think the roster is gonna work, and we should. I think we did a good job, so I'm happy with it. We managed to get a St. Louis stack going, and we have Molina, Carpenter, Diaz, and then we got one guy in the Colorado Cincinnati game, but we may switch him out at the last minute for Cespedes or JD Martinez, who are at or below his Gonzalez's price. I think the rest of the guys are pretty much solid veteran players who should be able to put the ball in play.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so thank you all for listening, and hopefully you enjoyed the lineup. As always, make sure to comment and tell us if we did horribly bad and we missed on a couple of guys that you all have in mind. But if not, then hopefully this roster brings you some money, if at all. So enjoy it and have a good day.